What's going on, everybody? Oh, let's get this right. Test. What's happening? Long time no see. Getting back into the groove. We got, let me see here. We have got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shows lined up beginning Saturday, day after tomorrow, Sunday in the Southern Hemisphere. So we're going to get back on this horse. And what's going on, Linda? What's happening? I'm over in Sedona, not too far from you. Hey, Daniel, what's happening? Yeah, so we're going to get back into the swing of things. We're going to start doing some Soul Speaks 5Ds and some other things. We got 7 Soul Speaks 5Ds lined up between Saturday and Wednesday, and I know there's going to be a few more. We're going to look to be doing about 3 a day. Yeah, just see what's been going on with people. I mean, it's been hellacious, hasn't it? You know, it's just been hellacious. September was just, through the roof like never before. And we're already, 6 days into October? Yeah, it's been pretty wild. There's a lot of things we could talk about. We'll get some people up here in a bit. I just thought I'd jump on here for now and test a couple things out. We're going to be doing more animation. We got a lot of stuff going on with that. It's going to be real interesting. It's not going to be like what we put out before Soulogy Fest and that type of thing. It's going to be more refined. We're also going to be doing, some music and collaborations and co-creation, but always we'll be doing the Soul Speaks 5Ds, and we've got some really good shows being lined up now. I put out a call about 2 weeks ago for those who have not stepped up, that would like to step up in an environment of support. And we have absolutely been inundated with courageous souls that are going to come on and come out for the first time and share their coding, and a lot of them will be women. A lot of them will be 45 and older, many of them 50, 60, 70. These are souls that have been doing the work for a long, long time. And it's time for them to come out. And there'll be men stepping up too. We've had some men stepping up as well. So I'm looking forward to changing the landscape of traditional, I guess you might call it traditional podcasting or talk shows. I don't think that it's necessary to strictly shoot for what we might call headliners, or those who are better known people. We've had those people on. We've had David Icke. We've had many other people, certainly people from the community that have big names, and we will certainly have them back. We got Judith Kuzel, our dear, beautiful sister, who's coming on the 12th of next month. We always look forward to speaking with her and the Mary Rodwells and etc. But you and those that have never come on before are the real headliners. They're the ones that we haven't heard from. They're the ones whose bands of frequencies we haven't been exposed to. They're the ones that are contagious initiators, igniters for other souls to step up and find their power, and that's what this is all about. So we're going to do everything we can to provide a platform for people to continue to come out and express themselves, share their skills, gifts, abilities, stories, and experiences, traumas, dreams, bilocations, teleportations, shape-shifting, whatever it is. But also a platform to allow, people to express themselves through their art, through their music, through their dance, light language, whatever the case is. Our goal here is to one day have a channel for every single person on the face of the earth. Everybody has their own channel, which we actually do in terms of the universe watching us. I thought I'd go over a couple of things real quick, and let me see if I can get this thing to work. I want to do a screen share. I'm going to test something here. And yeah, that will work. So I want to go over here. I was reading a couple of things this morning. One of them is Sandra Walter, our dear sister here in Sedona. She put up a post. Yeah, you can see it there. Let me just make sure. Let me make sure here. It's not showing up, or is it? Wait. Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, it is showing up. Okay, so let's go down here. She has written here today, 2 hours ago. And if you haven't, checked out Sandra Walter, you might want to. She's been on the front edge of the Ascension, you might say, for a number of years, going back into the 90s. But she had some interesting things to say. Here we are at the mid-October acceleration point. More dismantling, more divine light influxes, more anomalies in our time-space experience. Heightening of frequencies delivers a heightening of our ascension experience. Crystalline hearts may sense a strong pulling toward your desired realm choice. The strength of your heart can be amplified with proper focus. She says, what seems chaotic is actually more possibilities opening in these realms. We are accustomed to dense, limited choices of reality. The realm split opens us to more possibilities, the natural state of divine, expansive, limitless creation. This is very important stuff, in my opinion. Every higher choice opens us to more possibilities. Expansion reveals limitlessness. Keep this in heart as we receive more intense, in a good way, cosmic influxes. You may have noticed the consistent activity in the stargates, especially in our local sun. Let me just see if I can skip to... Hold on. Let's see here. It is the perfect now to prepare for the October 14th wave of this next cycle, which includes the very brief and powerful eclipse window of October 25th through November the 8th. Be clear about your choice of reality and demonstrate it in thought, word, feeling, action, and creation. Maintain the vibration of your intention as the lower realities struggle and implode. Remember, there is vibrational support for the higher realm expression, not the lower. Good gets better, bad gets worse. View it as source divinity returning rather than judging the collapse. As always, don't watch it burn. Get on with creating the new. And she goes on to talk about a few different things. Again, Sandra Walter out of Sedona, and also out of Shasta, I believe, at times. Beautiful lady, beautiful sister. Let me go back. Boom. Boom. Here we go. So, Nicole McAdoo's coming on Tuesday. I see her in the house here. Let's see here. We got 60 people in the house. Spread the word. We're still, let's see. Randy Mahatma Brown. It lost me when the terms good and bad come in. Yeah. I saw Randy. I saw your rap, man, on the guitar today. That was very, very, very cool. If y'all haven't seen that, you need to check it out. Go to the Soulogy group or to his page. He's a hell of a musician, and he puts on a pretty good performance. We have to get him on here. Yeah, so, part of it, like what Sandra's talking about, I think a couple things that stand out for me. One of them is as the shift crumbles, as the old crumbles, don't attach to it, don't watch it, is what she said. Get on with creating. Now, this is something that I've been hearing since the 1st of July. And if you remember, the 1st of July, I was called to Sedona, having set up a festival in Arkansas. Yet I'm called to Sedona, and it was very well documented, the things I was involved with here. the presence of the Mother Goddess in a way that I've never seen and even caught on film, with a sunset and a monsoon and etc. But one of the things that I've been getting has been, no matter what's going on, keep creating. Keep creating. Don't stop. Because if you're creating, you can't get caught up as easily in what we refer to as the lower vibrational patterns and loops. I'm with Randy. Say, using words like good or bad or higher or lower, or anything that creates separation energetically, superiority, inferiority, judgment, etc. It's becoming a challenge for us because our light bodies, our higher consciousness, our greater awareness is uncomfortable with those things that aren't accurately portrayed. So I think, her advice about don't get caught up or entangled in the lower vibe or the old, let's say the old, because we know where our focus goes, it grows, right? But the other part of that being to go out and create. If we're creating something, then we're working with not just the new things we can create, but we're actually working with the new ways to create. And I think more and more of us are starting to understand this. You cannot build anything new earth-ish, 5D-ish, whatever you want to call it, using old, dualistic, 3D, old paradigm, patriarchal, whatever you want to call it, methods. Okay? Those are all going away. Savings accounts are going away. Schedules beyond today are going away. So many things are going away that we're accustomed to, and we would think we need these things in order to build the new earth or build new projects. So, I think that's important. If like many of us, if not all of us, we have these lulls during the day when we're not falling asleep and laying on our back and integrating, we have lots of energy within our bodies, a lot of stuff going on. A great thing to do is to create something, even if it's a painting, even if you've never painted before. Create a poem. I don't know, if you're a seamstress, make some clothes. Make some drawings, make a song, build a doghouse in the backyard. I don't know. But there's something about creating that when we're 100% into it, which means, again, we won't be caught up in the old burning down. We'll be focusing on something new. But when we're doing this in this new energy, and our mind is clear, meaning that we're not stuck on some loop, that these new methodologies, these new ways and means of creating will come to us in form as we experience it, as we create. And try it. Because you will have more peace of mind, too, I will tell you that, to be able to look at something that you've created, and especially things that we've never created before. Soulogy has been around for 10 plus years, 10 and a half years, and officially. And it's always been an energy of change. If you look at the Soul Speaks 5Ds, 3,800 episodes, the way that show's evolved from where it started and where it is today is totally obvious. Also through the years we've had, of course, we had the spirit walks, and then we had panels, and we produced other people's shows and music. One of the things that we're getting into now here in Sedona, I'm going to be here till the end of the year. I've got a very dear friend of ours in our community, Diane Powers, has agreed to very reasonably rent me an RV that she has. And I found through my friends, Nan Hodges and Shannon McMillan Thompson, they found the only RV pad in all of Sedona land that was available. And so I actually got a place, to live for the next 90 days and work here. And you'll be hearing more about that at a very reasonable rate, because there's no other way I could have afforded it. Rents over here are extremely high. So one of the things we're going to be doing, we've been doing music since 1st of July, or a different, here in the studio doing studios, Sedona, Soulogy Sedona sessions is what we call them. We've done some locally too. And so we're going to keep playing with that. Ty's a master at what he does. One of the things he's doing is really refining the technology. We'll be able to bring people on the screen with their instruments in some cases, certainly, with their voice, and we'll be able to actually have a studio session with them on the screen and not actually being in the studio. We'll also have people coming by the studio who are accomplished. We were at a really cool place yesterday. I believe it was called Sedona. I can't remember what it was called. Really nice guy. Gary runs it. It's basically a professional studio. And Tim Smith, our friend, invited us over. I took some footage of it. I'm going to put that up later. We actually got to watch him working on a song. It was really interesting. I believe the guy's name was Andrew. And he was a country western singer, light worker. So his lyrics to the country tune were all about what we talk about. So looking forward to getting, getting Gary, a couple other people, this guy Andrew, getting Tim Smith in here. Local talent, local musicians. We're going to come in and have them come into the studio. We're going to have a conversation with them like we do in Soul Speaks 5D. Basically, it'll be a Soul Speaks 5D episode, but it'll be with the person in our studio, the other studio, the big studio, where we have all the music set up, and we'll actually talk and do music too, and just kind of break it up a little bit. We're also going to be coming out Monday with a kind of a Tonight Show type format. Like Letterman type format, where we're going to be set up in the other studio, and we're going to have people both on the screen and coming in, and just kind of do a variety thing, and just kind of see where it goes, and also implement some of the animation into that as well. So we got a lot of stuff going on through the end of the year, and everything that we do, we put forth with our best efforts to exhibit and emit the Trinity energy of balance, feminine and masculine, and golden child, and that's the truth. I had to take a break. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I think everybody can feel it. I hadn't taken a break in the 10 and a half years I've been doing this. Not where I turned off social media, but I knew I had to do it. And for 6 nights, I unplugged. And I got the trigger bites all over me to prove it. I just felt like it needed to happen. My understanding was, and I can only speak of my own truth, I can't throw that on anybody else, but I was told part of the reason that I needed to get away was because beginning in June or July, I had been on the front end with some collaborators on the final anchoring of the divine masculine energy. I left on the 29th, and the 30th was kind of the end of the period, and the intel that I received in regard to the masculine anchoring came in very strong on the 29th and the 30th, and really the next couple days after that. What does that mean? Well, there's a lot of ways to talk about it, and I just want to say that, what I do, and everyone knows that, is kind of take all the information, if it's a person I'm talking to on the show or whatever, and just kind of extrapolate it into terms, into Todd language. But I think if we think about what's happened, I can go back to a couple examples. We know that the divine feminine energy, I would call the Mother Goddess energy, landed a few years ago, began to make its presence known. And this created a couple of things on the typical male, typical female. On the female, it created, I told you, we've been waiting all this time. I told you our intuition was right, and this is all rightfully so. There's no judgment here. There's no, not throwing rocks at anybody or throwing shade at anybody. Now for the masculine, or for the male, we need to use these words carefully. Male, female, masculine, feminine. These are 4 different things, right? Feminine is not female, and masculine is not male, all right? So on the male side, on the human male side, it started to create a slow building wave of you're going to have to give up this false power kind of thing. So we watched this for a while, and then sometime this year, I think the feminine fully anchored, as a lot of people have forecast. Third energy's anchored. I mean, I don't know if this is all accurate. I'm just giving you kind of a where I'm at thing, what I'm seeing, and maybe something to think about. So now we're at this point where the masculine energy is anchored, and it's created a good stress. It's created a stress on, obviously, the human male, and it's also created a stress on the human female. It's created stress in relationships because the human male is adopting more of his divine masculine and applying it as he can do with more efficacy than the typical female, just as the typical female could embody and actualize the divine feminine energy because of her familiarity with it. The gender has a lot to do with that. So, what I'm saying is that all energies have been anchored and are available on the earth, the purest and best of the divine feminine, divine masculine, and the divine child. You can put that in other terms, depends on your nomenclature, Holy Mother, Holy Father, whatever you want to use. But now, as Franco Di Nicola and many other people forecasted, there is no external projection of distortion being flooded onto the earth anymore. It's gone, and it's been gone. The only remnants of the old distortion and inverted matrix is from our own heads, from our own ego, from the things we won't let go of because we'll lose that part of our identity, or we think we'll lose something. So, another way to say this is that we're at a point now where we are the gods and goddesses in the flesh, and we can actually dictate with the alignment of our free will and universal will. We can dictate the speed and the birth, the girth, let's say, the width of our transformation. We don't have to wait for anything. I have no intention of staying on this earth and 2 or 3 years from now still be driving around in a car. We are super cosmic, galactic, angelic, elemental superstars. It's the truth. The entire universe is freaking out. We have surpassed expectations, and we're still going. And I think we can all feel what's coming in. The question is, how do we pull ourselves away from all the old loops, be they the government or the global movie playing that's all done with premeditation and purpose of controlling our consciousness, or it'd be in the circles closest to us, which are the human interactions, the deepest places that we go in our lives with our close relationships. These are incredible times, phenomenal times. This is actually why we came now. It wasn't to do all the grunt work and the traumas and the shadow work and the zero pointing. there is an equal sign on the other side of the Akashic plus a living library of our experience that we have. And we're the only ones that can do this. Our other aspects can't do this. And remember, they're learning from us now. They're learning from us something that they can't do, those parts of us can't do. Emotional intelligence. Emotions have been associated with ego. They've been associated with the human condition, the human affliction. I'm sorry, I ate Mexican food for breakfast. But, I remember Alicia Brachet, our beautiful sister from Melbourne, Australia, was on a few months ago, maybe last year, into last year. And at the time, there were many ladies coming up and telling their stories that they never told. And Alicia, if you've never seen that, it's probably the last quarter of last year. She talks about her role, her journey, in terms of the planetary, experience or experiment, her part of it, galactically and so on, and what it had to do with energetic gestation, energetic pregnancies, and births of energetic beings by women on the earth. And it was very moving and touching. And the most powerful moment, which to me was also one of the most powerful moments we've ever had on Soul Speak 5D, is that she was in her bedroom and she was visited by high-level mantis. And the mantis said, we've been watching over you, that, we've communicated with you, etc. Everything's going to be okay. And she said to the mantis, what about my emotional well-being, my emotional health, doing all this stuff as boots on the ground down here on the earth? And the mantis said to her, now, if you've done any research or had any interaction with the various galactic beings who I look at as our facilitators, certainly our equals, the highest level, or one of the highest level ones, are the mantis. And the mantis told her, we didn't account for that. That something happened to me that day when I heard that. I was like, you know what? There it is. The emotions are unique to the human hybrid soul. If it's unique to the human hybrid soul, that means that these other aspects never had any, or at least never had the depth of the emotions that the humans have, to be able to figure out what to do with it. So that's when I started to understand that, to a greater degree, our greatest alchemic material and substance is our emotions. Our emotions that are managed, owned, held responsible for, accountable for, are not handicaps. They're not taking anything away from us. They're actually offering us the newest universal material through our experience of alchemy, of magic, of the miraculous. It's not the easiest thing in the world to think about, but it's something that I feel is absolutely true. And this is, to me, a great thing, because, for so many times we can talk about, a couple of the heavy ones. We can talk about grief. We can talk about prolonged sadness. Now, we're all coming to the realization that there is no middle ground. It's either one way or the other. And the one way is the old way, and the other is the new way. Okay? We're comfortable with the old way because that's what we know, but we're familiar with the new way if we give it a go. You know what I mean? But really, when you get down to it, and I've lost people in my life, I know you all have. I'm not making light of any loss that we've felt. Everyone needs to sit with whatever it is for however long they need to. One of the worst things in the world is people coming up to you going, hey, get over it. But at the end of the day, grief and prolonged sadness, anger, all the charismatic children of the ego. So this is the emotions that is overridden by the egoic, but it doesn't mean that the emotions don't have a positive value. You know, I was shown 10 years ago that if you take the human heart and draw a line straight down the middle, on one side's the ego and one side's the soul. Like everything else in this trip, we're finding that everything becomes converged and merges. The soul, the human, the non-physical, the physical, the ego and the soul. Okay? The ego is not some, artificial part of us. You can break it down depending on what perspective or what vantage point you're looking at, but it's still God's substance, the God of substance. But what I was getting at is we're coming to the point now where prolonged sadness, grief, anger, there's no room for it. We got to call it out for what it is. We got to look it in the eye and thank it, honor it, revere it for teaching us and bringing us to the point that we've gotten to, whatever the case may be. But to continue to carry on with these handicaps, these attachments, it's going to become very painful. And if you go back to Sandra Walter's piece that I read at the beginning of the show, she said that there's plenty of support for taking this new path. And the new path, in my words, is the stuff that we've never done before. If it doesn't make sense and you're being told do it, do it. All right? That's how this new energy seems to work for me. And I think others would concur with that. But she said, if you take that path, there is huge vibrational support to assist you. I can firmly say here that for the last 90 days, I've been a living testament to that, doing things that people told me I was crazy, costing me things, costing me connections and relationships. And none of it's made sense, and either my ego or other egos telling me not to do it, and for all these reasons. We cannot turn our back on the guidance that got us here. This world cannot harm us in any way whatsoever, and I don't give a goddamn rat's ass if somebody drops a nuke right now. Because remember, this is illusion, and it doesn't mean there's no meaning here. But our level of fearlessness is what ultimately will turn this world around like that. We don't have any in between here. We're either in fear or we're fearless. I'm a fearless soul. What are you going to do to me? Nothing. You can't do nothing. So what can I do? I can live to my fullest every single moment. I can get up and I can go do something. I can make something happen. I can create something. This is what I loved about part of what I loved about Sandra Walter's post from this morning, is because she talks about what I've been feeling for a long time. And I've talked about this, not because I'm smart, just because it makes sense. I mean, how many fucking years are we going to be doing shadow work? How many shadows do we have? I mean, enough is enough. Own our shit. Own it. Right? There is no right or wrong here. The only detriment here, the only thing that takes away from anything is not facing our stuff. And the great thing about this timelessness that we're finding ourselves in is that you can change yourself like that. I can be a better person. I can be a better me. I can be a more capable person. I can be a greater creator in this moment. It's about integrity, dignity, honesty, and most of all, the self-love, the self-responsibility, self-accountability, self-reliance. My happiness is my job, not somebody else's. And I know it's tough, and we got to have compassion for ourselves and compassion for other people. We forget this. We forget that we hold other people up to standards that we don't hold ourselves to. You see, these things that I'm talking about are things that at a human level could be described as being conscientious and applying the expanded consciousness that we have into our daily lives. And it will make a real difference. There's a lot of great stories that came out of Soulogy Fest. And, on the surface, it looked crazy, right? I mean, Todd gets picked up 2 days before the start and gets thrown in jail for a 6-year-old complaint filed against me in another state. It's a misdemeanor. That was a non-arrest warrant in its original form. Non-arrest warrant. That'll tell you something. And then I get extradited. Have to drive in the back of a Tahoe for 8 hours, handcuffed and ankle cuffed. Things are not always what they appear. There was major energetic work being done by many earth keepers, key holders, gatekeepers, ancient, incarnated, reincarnated souls in a human body meeting up on Mulberry Mountain for a reason. And this is going on all over the world every day, in your house, at your job, when you're online, when you're in dream state. We are doing some major stuff, all of us. And to get bogged down in the egoic intricacies of a programming we're so familiar with, all we have to do is feel ourselves to understand that it's out of whack and we need to do something different. Now, a lot of times we think we need to get rid of this person or that person or this thing or that thing. But it's not. There is a saying, it's been around these circles for as long as I've been around, it's never them, it's always me, and that's an absolute fact. There is no exception to that. It's never them, it's always me. What does that mean? It means that whatever interaction, whatever experience, whatever situation, that you take it all into yourself. Your whole focus, how do I feel about this? What was my reaction? What were my actions? What is my reevaluation? What is my greater determination from a greater self-examination? And I guess it's just really gotten back. It's really gotten down to the point for me, as I see it, that it's the most seemingly in contrast to our multidimensionality, to our multi aspects. It has come down from that viewpoint, having all that luster and the bells and whistles that go with, and abilities that go with all that multidimensionality that so many of us channel, and the light language and etc. That it's coming down to the mundane, the human, the most human things, being conscientious, understanding that there's not anything that you and I can do on the face of this earth more important, more helpful, and more hurtful than the thoughts that I send out. And I'm not even counting the words yet or the actions we take, because they're rooted in the thoughts. If I'm thinking shit about you or something or someone or whatever, then guess what's going out there? And who's responsible for that? You see, the funny thing about victim consciousness, which is taking a beating right now, the funny thing about victim consciousness is that it creates a victim, and the victim is actually the perpetrator. The perpetrator that perpetuates the old way. Now, if a person wants to live there, if that's what their souls called them to do, then we'll have to recognize that and we move on. But, victim consciousness is a pretty easy thing to figure out. Either I feel like I'm a victim or I look at someone else that they're a victim. Someone's getting victimized. We've all been victimized. But it was a great, grand, perfect design. It was a divine plan. And now we're waking up to it. We're waking up to the game that we set up. And it doesn't have to be painful. If you're not feeling good, if you're suffering, if you're in pain, I have talked to so many people in the last 2 or 3 months that have had massive physical transformations to include instantaneous healing, mind-boggling stuff. Things like sound healing. I was talking to Ty today about magnetic healing, where he's had 3 clients that were instantly healed. I talked to my friend Steve here. He does a lot of this work. A lot of you are healers. You know what I'm talking about. But what I've seen in the last 2 or 3 months is these increasing cases where people are identifying their affliction within their body for the emotional affliction or blockage or suppression that it is, and they're healing themselves. We're in the big time now. We're in the big time. And nobody is responsible. There is nothing that validates ill thoughts. There's nothing that validates gossip, that validates talking lesser than about anything or anyone. There's nothing that validates that. I don't give a shit if you want to talk about the Illuminati, the 13 families, the big bad wolf, the reptilians. These are our aspects. Every single one of them lives within us, and that's not a cliche. How many of us have found, in the last few weeks especially, parts of ourselves that we once never wanted to look at, disgusted us? Did I do that? Did I do that? Holy shit, But what I think we found is that we do love these pieces. These pieces are a part of us. I don't know what the hell's going on with the Wi-Fi. Oop. But I just feel like that enough talking. We're going to see what we've started to see, really gradually have always seen on Soul Speaks 5D, gradually as it evolves more than ever. We've got, I don't even know the number, probably 100 people entering this call to come out and be seen for the first time and tell their story. A lot of them, these will be women. You're going to see that. I find that very constructive, very much significant, as more and more of these people, again, primarily these women who've been in the background, as they start to be heard, it is going to be a contagious igniter of our true soul nature, and it's going to expand and increase the speed of embodiment with individuals on this world, on this planet. We're also going to be creating music and art and collaboration and co-creation, because again, what is this? Like Sandra said, this is creating as opposed to watching everything burn. Let's create. Stay busy is another way to put it. And the third thing we're going to be getting into, among other things, is animation. I mean, have you ever watched Midnight Gospel or Robot Chicken or some of these animated movies they have now on the Netflixes and the Primes? This is such a powerful medium. The young people know it, and we're starting to play with it. Ty's doing an excellent job. We've got a couple of people on our team that are helping us. We're going to create a space where people can create their own worlds and their own universes. Like the avatars making avatars, right? So, staying busy, being done with the shadow. And what I mean by that is, we all know the value of the shadow. We know the shadow is the light. We know we cannot find the light unless we go through the shadow. And there wouldn't even be such thing as light if there wasn't a darkness, right? But done to the point where it's debilitating us, where it's holding us back, and coming to the mature choice of saying no more, not to a person, to a thing, to an energy, to a program. Grief is a big one. Prolonged sadness is a big one. Anger is a big one. Jealousy is a big one. These are really sub-programs of fear-based programming. Or you could say the ego implant or whatever. It's not a bunch of different things. It's one big fucking domino. And I think we have enough information now, enough proof, enough disclosure that we can go, okay, wait, this is the game? This is the biggest domino, and if I knock it down, I'm clean. So where does that leave me? Where it leaves a lot of us right now. You're like going, okay, how do we operate in this new space? This is trippy. This is where synchronicities start to come in. I can't even tell you, I've only been here back, 2 days? 2 or 3 days? And the level of synchronicity, the ease of flow, even like Ty and I, last night, the last thing I wanted to do was get on and do a show. It's certainly music. This is something very new to me. It's a bit challenging to try to sing and etc., right? And but we set it up, and then we're like, man, well, as long as we're set up, why don't we just get the camera ready just in case we decide to go on? And by the time we get ready, we're like, fuck it, let's do it. This is what I'm talking about. When I woke up 11 years ago and I was walking the street, the most powerful thing I ever heard was just to understand that every single thing you've ever done in your life, Todd Medina, and I was only thinking in terms of one incarnation at this time, and I've led, up to that point, a very, very wild life, like a wild, wild life, like it would freak a lot of people out. But it wouldn't, because we're at a higher perspective now. But I was told, everyone will know everything you've ever done. And it scared the living out of me. And I was like, oh my God. And it was kind of already happening, which was interesting. But then I also understood that it wasn't specific to me, that every single one of us, we would all know everything about each other. So you can call it full-blown telepathy, you can call it whatever you want to call it. But that's the way I've looked at it from that day forward, is it's made it easier for me to come to terms and bring into equilibrium the things that I've done in the past, some things that I wasn't so proud of. The other thing it's done for me is allowed me, like water off a duck's back, to be perseverant and determined and not be affected by these external things that were really judgments and opinions that seemed to be coming from somebody else, but they were really coming from me. I gave them power. So I try to be in integrity, try to be honest, try to do your best, show up, no matter what. And I see a lot of people doing it. But I guess, going back to the experience I had 10 years ago, if you understood that everything you ever did, thought, said would be known by everyone, think about the alteration to your energy in this moment. Like, what can you do? Like, so what? So you did that? I did this. So what? It's time to be a divine human being. It's time to be a divine human being. A conscientious divine human being. Not somebody who talk. And I'm a talker. I do this for a living, right? I guess you could say. So one day I won't have a job. And that's great. What I'm understanding, though, is it's not the words. It's the energy. Look, I'm not the greatest singer in the world. I'm very amateurish. I'm a pretty good writer. I've not done a lot of studio sessions. This is an example. Yet Ty and I can get in there without a guitarist and just do the best we can and have the best results metrically that we've ever had with an episode like that. You never know. You see, it's not the spit and polish. It's not the production. It's the spontaneous, intuitive, imaginative, and courageous and creative. That's the I Am Soul. You see, if you go back to the early days of Soulogy and I was doing spirit walks, I'm a guy, haven't shaved, my hair's all wild, I got no shirt on, I'm hungover, and I'm doing all these things out of the original studio. And I've had people tell me, oh, I saw that thing that you did, I saw an old video you did, and that was kind of dark. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. It may not have been somebody singing in tune. It may not have been somebody dancing properly. It may not have been somebody speaking that wasn't charged or shadowed. But people read the truth and the heart frequency. And whether you're standing before, the Supreme Court being judged, or you're about to hit the dance floor or have a conversation, this is a place we can find. We can find this place where, in essence, we have nothing to lose. I am who I am, and, I can speak from the heart. And whatever it is, even if you're telling us how to make enchiladas in your kitchen on the video, if it's from the heart, people pick it up. It's not about, hey, they can explain it or I can explain it. It's just the pure heart frequency, and that's us. That's us. You're seeing a lot of these platforms that have had apparently bigger communities or followings or subscribers. Ours are kind of hard to detect because we're on so many different platforms. But I'm talking about the traditional clickbait platforms. Look at the amount of energy and attention that came from the election, that came from the Q thing, that came from Nasara, that came from whatever the latest, the solar flash is coming for the third year in a row. It hasn't worked. It doesn't work. It leads us in circles. We're like a horse with a carrot on a stick in front of us trying to get us to run. What works? You and me work. You and me. If we can't work it out for you to come on this show and Soul Speak 5D, or come on to an open mic, or come make some music, or share your poetry, or like whatever it is, do it yourself. Pick up your camera and do it yourself, right? Okay? That's what we need. We need to take the stage, That's why I'm looking forward to all these interviews coming up, because many of these women and even some of the men have never been on camera before. They've never told their story before. This is where the code is. This is where the gold is. It's when people stand up and go, you know what? I felt flat on my ass trying to do something to make something happen, and I was able to laugh at myself. Or I went through pure hell, but you know what? I'm on the other side of it now. So like even today, I just was jumping on. I have no idea what I'm going to say at all. None. But I felt like that, you should do it. And that's how all this works. And we'll close out with this, right? So, I think in terms of like the physical part of it, right? I mean, there's an etheric story to Soulogy that goes back well before it was actually started, in the physical. But from the point that we started to manifest in the physical and started a Soulogy or a Facebook group, Soulogy, and so on, I'm getting a huge download. It was, 2012. A lot of people were being jolted. The earth was being jolted at that time. A lot of very divine episodes and divine interventions and just a lot of very beautiful, powerful things happening that didn't make sense when held into contrast with the previous, years of our lives and the history we've been shown, etc. But some very powerful things happen. We've all had our own different ways of experiencing that. Some see apparitions, some hear voices, etc., etc. Some do it by feeling. But we never let go of it. We doubted it. We lost confidence in it. We were told we were crazy. We lost relationships and family members, and etc., etc., etc. Welcome to the Ascension. But we never gave up. And I think it's time that we go 100% into that internal guidance. Because not only will we find ourselves there, we will find each other there. And the great thing is we've got these bodies and we can act out that togetherness, that unity, that oneness by creating music or doing a show together or having a conversation, So I just want to close out like this. Back in the day, when I first woke up, like a lot of us, I was called into service to heal people or to assist people in healing and to assist souls that had physically transitioned into the higher realms, and everyone has their different stories. But really, the most powerful ritual or process that I ever used for myself, that I utilized with other collaborators, was, and I've done it before in Soulogy, but I'd like to do it now, is just to kind of close our eyes and form a circle of life. And that circle of life is formed by all of our angels and guides, all of our star family, elementals, everything. So we're all standing there in this huge circle of life, all of our aspects. And in the center of the circle, I would say place ourself. Place our human self. And as all these aspects, all my brothers and sisters, in this eternal moment, which is the only moment, and as the angels of the heavens have a circle above us, here to witness and bless in this eternal moment in love and light, that we be honored and respected, loved and revered for the valiant efforts of the human hybrid soul. And that in this moment we ask for the highest and best for all things from this point forward. And love and light, love and light, love and light. All hail the darkness as well. I got some friends here. Okay, so thank you for spending some time with me, and I just wish everybody the best. I hope all your dreams come true. And keep going. Don't stop. And we'll see you around. Be looking for us. And thank you for your continued love and support and contributions that allow us to keep doing this every day. And we will not stop, no matter what. I might have to take a 6-day break like I did this past time, but I'm thinking more like 3 or 4 days at a time, every few weeks. So thank you so much. Peace out.